In this exercise video, we're going to be going through a balance exercise where we're going to get into a tandem stance with one foot directly in front of the other and work on our stability and control within that position. And we'll go through some different progressions that you can do with this exercise. So you want to get yourself next to a stable surface, either a wall or a countertop. So that way, if you do lose your balance, you have something quickly next to you to grab onto it to prevent a fall. We want these to be done barefoot as much as possible to get the most benefit out of it, of trying to get that ankle and foot support versus in a shoe where we have less of that ankle and foot muscle control versus being barefoot. So we're going to get ourselves in standing next to our stable surface that's right next to arm's reach. We're going to put one foot directly in front of the other so they're in a perfectly straight line. So the toes of my back foot are touching the heel of my front foot. We're going to try to keep equal balance between both feet, so about 50-50 split. Instead of being more on the back foot or more on the front foot, we want to make sure both feet are equally weight bearing and both feet are staying perfectly flat on the floor and not having the heels or toes coming up. So when we're here, we're just going to think tall posture, light core engagement, and we're going to try not to hold on to anything as much as we can. And we're just going to hold this for the prescribed amount of time. You get a little bit of wiggliness and shaking in your ankles and your legs, totally normal. You want to work through the shaking as much as possible, as long as you're not having any pain and you're not wobbling too far where it becomes unsafe. Once you've done one direction, you're going to change so the opposite foot is in the front and repeat both directions to make sure you're stable with both legs in different positions. So this is the standard position of just doing this stationary, holding with our eyes open and just working on general stability. If that becomes easy, then we can make this a little harder by adding in some head rotation. So we can start off again with our feet directly in line, get nice stable core engagement and hold, and then slowly look over your right shoulder and look over your left shoulder. And you're just going to slowly rotate your head side to side, which should make you wobble a little bit more. And your goal again is to try to stay as stable and centered as possible. When that becomes easier, then we're going to make the head rotations become faster. So instead of a nice slow rotation where we're just working on slow control, then we're going to add in a quick head turn, side to side, faster. To make sure you don't get dizzy with the faster rotations or even with the slow rotations, you want to make sure you quickly fixate your eyes on something when you turn your head. That will help stabilize your equilibrium and decrease the dizziness with this. But if you do get super dizzy with this, stop and talk to your PT about modifying it. Now we can also make this harder by closing our eyes as well. So again, we can get ourselves in our stationary, one foot in front of the other position, tall posture, core engaged. And once we feel stable, we can close our eyes. And again, you're going to feel more shaking and wobbliness with our eyes closed. And our goal is to stay stable with our eyes closed. Now, when our eyes are closed, that tends to be one of the hardest positions. So I do recommend having your hand really close to the surface when your eyes are closed, just in case you get a little too wobbly. It's super easy and fast to grab onto that surface instead of accidentally missing your hand hold or fumbling around. That could cause a fall. So this is a tandem balance exercise, starting with easy, just stationary, adding in slow head turns, moving into fast head turns, moving into eyes closed. And the very last, you can do eyes closed with head turns too, but that's much more advanced. And you're going to want to make sure you follow the guidance of your physical therapist to know which level you're supposed to start with.